I want to talk to you about banks that use Zelle this year. And so here are the considerations I want you to think about. First of all, when you think about banks that use Zelle, you have to really understand that the peer-to-peer payment network Zelle offers free and almost instant transfers between bank accounts at different U.S. banking institutions. So it's one of those things where when you think about Zelle, think about the U.S. banking system. So if you have banks overseas, they can't really qualify for the Zelle network. And the cool thing is that Zelle is actually owned by a consortium of banks, big banks like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and what have you. So that's really good. And Zelle actually started in 2017, a couple of 1 or 2 years before COVID. But it was really, really prominent during COVID when people were actually stuck at home and they needed to transfer money from one family member to another. So that was pretty good. Okay. And the cool thing is that Zelle actually has grown to have a network that includes, more than 2,000 participating banks and credit unions. So that's really fantastic. And many, but not all, bank customers can find Zelle featured in their bank's mobile app. So using a bank that offers Zelle in its app has perks because there is no extra app to download, and your bank may have a higher transfer amount limits than what the Zelle app allows. So let me give you a quick facts about Zelle. So Zelle is primarily used to send, request, or receive funds with friends and others that you trust. And Zelle transfers can be delivered within minutes and generally are free. And customers or banks, credit unions, or neobanks that do not offer Zelle can access Zelle's standalone app through transfer amount limits. The transfer amount limits may differ based on the institution. Okay, but the cool thing is that you have the possibility to have money sent and received real fast, and you can actually send or receive up to $500 weekly and receive up to $5,000 in Zelle's app. There is no ability to request different limits. You can have the cool thing is you can have higher limits at a bank in Zelle's network, though it's up to the bank. So the bank will actually look at your account and see what kind of accounts you have, and based on the account that you have, the bank will actually set the appropriate limits for your account. One thing I want to say here is that the list I'm going to give you into this conversation. If you don't find your bank in that list, don't panic. Okay, you have two things to do. You can actually contact your bank to see if they offer Zelle, or you can just download the Zelle app yourself. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now, can the sender and recipient be at banks where neither offers Zelle? No. Right now, the Zelle app hasn't been developed to that extent. So unfortunately, either the sender or recipient must belong to a bank or credit union that offers Zelle for a transfer to work. Okay, the person who doesn't have Zelle directly can download, as I just said, the Zelle app and enroll with a Visa or a MasterCard debit card. So that's really good from a flexibility point of view. Okay, and so the thing is that when you think about transfer services like Zelle, you are speaking about P2P transfer apps. So peer-to-peer transfer apps. So Zelle is not the only player in that field. The thing is that you don't have a lot of players, but you have 2 or 3 other players. You have Venmo, you have PayPal. PayPal has been the OG in this space for a while now, and you also have Cash App, Square's Cash App. Okay, and so those apps have the same ability as Zelle to transfer money fast to friends and family for free. However, unlike Zelle, they put any money you receive into an in-app balance. So they don't put the balance. They don't really put the money into your bank account. They put it into an in-app balance. And the process to withdraw money to a linked bank account is free, but usually takes several days, or you can withdraw within minutes for a fee. So this is something to really think about. We actually have released a show on peer-to-peer payment services. Okay, so in addition, banks and credit unions are gradually adopting FedNow, a new real-time transfer service run by the Federal Reserve. Okay, and so in terms of Zelle ownership, as I said a little earlier, Zelle is owned by Early Warning Services, a financial tech firm and consumer reporting agency that is co-owned by 7 of the largest U.S. banks: Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, PNC, Truist, U.S. Bank, and Wells Fargo. So this is kind of important to think of it that way. And in terms of safety, fantastic. I mean, Zelle is really safe. I mean, Zelle's parent company has said that more than 99.9% of payments sent do not have reports of fraud or scam. So this is kind of cool. Now, however, there is still a chance that you can be contacted by fraudsters who ask you to send money via Zelle. But the cool thing is that you are able to actually like make sure that this doesn't happen to you if you have the proper security setup in your account. So let me talk to you about a few of the top banks that use Zelle this year. Okay, so you can really pay attention to the top that you want to go for and the top that really sort of suits your specific needs. So we actually considered online banks with strong account offerings that participate in Zelle's network, and so this is kind of cool. And so if you're looking for banks that use Zelle this year, Ally Bank is a really prominent one. I mean, Ally Bank is a great bank, not only in terms of online banking, but also brick and mortar banking. And Ally Bank has all kinds of products and services in terms of banking, checking, in terms of savings, in terms of money market accounts. So that's really good. And you are able to get things done through Ally Bank real fast. As a matter of fact, Ally Bank actually also offers mortgages and also auto loans and student loans. The next bank that you want to think about is Bank 5 Connect. So Bank 5 Connect is another wonderful neobank that really is kicking ass like crazy when it comes to products and services. And also on the banking side, you are able to get great products in terms of checking, in terms of savings. So that's really fantastic. So Bank 5 Connect, another online bank that uses Zelle this year. You have Bank 7. Now, Bank 7 actually is primarily online, but Bank 7 is really great because in the last 5 years, it has started developing a new series of products and services, including credit cards, including loans, including lines of credit. So that's really good, not only on the personal side, but also on the business side. So that's really fantastic. So you have Bank 7. You also have Capital One. So Capital One does not need any introduction. Everybody knows Capital One on the credit card side, but Capital One is also big when it comes to the business side. But Capital One is primarily an online bank. They do have a few locations, but compared to all the other banks in the country, Capital One is primarily an online bank. You have a Charles Schwab Bank, another online bank that uses Zelle. You have a CIBC US, fantastic bank also, and you also have a CIT Bank, which is another wonderful bank that uses Zelle. When it comes to an online bank that uses Zelle this year, Discover Bank is a fantastic bank. I mean, Discover Bank, again, sort of similar to Capital One. Discover Bank is known for its credit cards and personal loans, but a lot of folks don't know that Discover Bank is a regular bank that actually has an online presence. So you can open a checking account, a savings account, okay? You can open a money market account. You can open a CD through Discover Bank, okay? And it doesn't matter where you live at. It doesn't matter the city or state you live at. You can actually start with Discover Bank. Fantastic. You also have Everbank. So Everbank is another online bank that uses Zelle. Everbank used to be called Tia Bank before they actually did the rebranding. So nowadays, they are just kind of similar to Discover Bank. They're kicking ass like crazy, so that's really good. And so they have a suite of services and products that are really good, and this is really fantastic. If you're looking for an online bank that uses Zelle this year, I want you to consider Quantic Bank. Quantic Bank is another wonderful bank that has also it's kind of like a neobank, okay, but with a lot of services, especially on the credit side. So with Quantic Bank, the good thing is Quantic Bank pays you to actually open an account with them. And on top of that, Quantic Bank will help you out build credit. So they have a series of products and services, including credit builder loans, credit builder products that help you actually build credit real fast. So if you have no credit and you're trying to really build credit real fast, go through Quantic Bank and you can actually build your credit that way. You can really increase your FICO score real fast. And you also have a Salem 5 Direct. So Salem Five Direct is another bank that is another online bank that uses Zelle this year. So this is kind of cool because Salem Bank actually is an online bank that has like what they do, and that a lot of folks love is that they have, even though they are an online bank, they have a pretty responsive customer service. So customer service is really responsive, and they'll answer all your questions, and they'll give you all the answers, all the right answers also. So that's really good. And the Salem 5 actually, they have promotions all the time for new accounts. And another online bank that uses Zelle is Varo Bank. So Varo Bank also uses Zelle. So in addition to the online bank that uses Zelle, I want to introduce you to some traditional banks that use Zelle. By traditional, I mean brick and mortar banks, banks that have branches, banks that are in your neighborhood, banks that are around the corner, banks that actually have ATMs. Okay, so and when it comes to banks, the traditional banks that use Zelle, you have to count. You have to count into the list. You have to account for the largest U.S. banks as well as various regional banks. Okay, so you have Bank of America. I mean that makes sense because Bank of America is a part co-owner of Zelle. So Bank of America, you have BMO. So BMO Harris. BMO Harris started like as a regional bank, but since they actually bought Bank of the West in California a couple of years ago, now they're getting big. I mean, a couple of months ago, they're getting big. Okay, this is kind of cool. And you have Chase, of course, the first bank in the nation. You have Citibank. Citibank is a traditional bank that uses Zelle. You have Citizens Bank. So Citizens Bank is another prominent bank. Forget about the little scare history that they had about their longevity, their going concern a couple of months ago. Citizens Bank is here to stay. Pretty strong bank. Their balance sheet is strong, so you can trust them, and they use Zelle too. You have a Fifth Third Bank. So Fifth Third Bank is another wonderful regional bank. Fifth Third is not a, see, when it comes to banks that use Zelle, you have a tier 1, you have tier 2, and you have tier 3. So on that spectrum, basically a regional like Fifth Third Bank is a tier 3 bank, and tier 2 will be US Bank and PNC, and tier 1 will be Chase and Wells Fargo and Citi. And you also have First National Bank of Omaha, so FNBO. You have a Huntington Bank. So Huntington Bank is also great when it comes to banking that uses Zelle. So Huntington Bank is kind of similar to Fifth Third Bank in the sense that it is a tier 3 bank. And of course, you have KeyBank. So KeyBank is not a tier 3 bank. KeyBank is a tier 2 bank. So and so all of those traditional banks use Zelle. And so if you are lucky to bank with one of those institutions, you can use Zelle ASAP. If you are thinking about banks that use Zelle this year, especially when it comes to traditional banks that use Zelle, I want you to think about M&T Bank. So M&T Bank is another prominent bank that uses Zelle and has always used Zelle. You have PNC. So PNC is also really good in terms of functionality. So that's really fantastic. You will love that. You will love the speed of transactions. So PNC. You have Regions Bank. So PNC and Regions are usually tier 2 banks. You have Santander Bank, TD Bank, Truist Bank, another tier 2 bank, US Bank, tier 2 bank, and Wells Fargo, tier 1 bank. So those are all big banks nationally and regionally that use Zelle this year. So now that I spoke to you about the banks that use Zelle, I gave you the online banks that use Zelle, the traditional banks that use Zelle. Let's talk about the credit unions. So I want to share with you a few credit unions that use Zelle this year. Okay. So when it comes to credit unions, you have America First Credit Union. So America First has always used the Zelle natively, like from the get-go. You have Andrews. So Andrews FCU, Andrews Federal Credit Union. You have Bethpage Federal Credit Union. So Bethpage is another wonderful credit union that uses Zelle. You have a BECU. So BECU is a great, one of our favorite credit unions on this show. And BECU stands for Boeing Employees Credit Union. And so, by the way, all the credit unions I'm giving you, of course, as you know, a credit union, you need membership to actually qualify. Like to open an account, you have to be a member. But luckily, all of those, like the first four credit unions I just gave you, America First Credit Union, Andrews, Bethpage, and BECU, you have the possibility to acquire membership, even if you don't live, if you don't worship, if you don't go to school, if you don't work for a particular company, if you are not affiliated with somebody or any kind of economic sector, you are able to become a member by donating to a charity. So that's really good for those first four. And then you have a Community First Credit Union of Florida. Now here we have a geo-restricted credit union. So you gotta be in Florida or the surrounding states to actually qualify. Okay, and you also have Consumers Credit Union. Consumers Credit Union, unlike the Community First Credit Union, is not geo-restricted. So CCU, everybody can qualify for membership. That's not a problem. And CCU uses Zelle this year. So if you want to have credit unions that use Zelle, I'm just continuing the list. So you have Delta Community Credit Union. So those, I mean, I'm going to give those lists real fast because some of those are geo-restricted. So you have to be in a certain geography to qualify. You have to be affiliated with someone biologically, professionally, or geographically to qualify. And that's the case for Delta Community Credit Union. And you also have First Tech. First Tech, Federal Credit Union, is actually open to everybody. So that's fantastic. And then you also have Golden One Credit Union. So Golden One actually is geo-restricted also. So you have to be in that geography, like to actually qualify for a membership. You also have Navy Federal Credit Union. So Navy Fed, which is our top favorite credit union on this show, actually uses Zelle, so that's really good. But Navy Fed has this military affiliation. So if you are affiliated with the armed forces, either geographically, biologically, or professionally, you will qualify for a Navy Fed credit union. You also have a School First Credit Union. So School First Credit Union is really good in terms of helping you get things done a lot faster. But School First Credit Union is actually geo-restricted. So something to really think about in case you want to bank with them. And you also have Service Credit Union. So this is kind of cool to really consider. Service is kind of limited to. It's kind of limited. It's kind of similar to Navy Fed in the sense that Service is a military affiliated or law enforcement affiliated sort of credit union. So you have to be in that ecosystem to qualify for a membership, okay, either through family, through work, or through geography, okay. But one thing for sure, you need to really understand that when it comes to credit union, you have to understand that this list is not exhaustive. There are credit unions being added to the Zelle network every single day. So if you don't hear your name, if you haven't heard your bank's name, please send us you can send us a question in the comment section, and then we'll respond to you. And a very prominent name that you haven't seen is actually PenFed, the number 2 credit union in the nation, and they are working on validating their Zelle membership, their Zelle network membership. So that's really good. But overall, it's important to understand that Zelle transfers are not wire transfers, which use a separate network. Both can provide funds delivery within minutes, but wires tend to have high fees and are intended for large amounts, such as a home purchase. Zelle transfers are typically free and can be for various reasons and amounts, up to a limit. Okay, something to really think about. So here's the bottom line to this conversation. I'll share with you banks that use Zelle. I'll give you the considerations, the banks, the credit unions, and in the bottom line. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.